Yes, good evening, Tashi Dilek, everyone. Today is day 2, and it's the first session. We'll be talking about curriculum development today.
정말 트스텔레스 아니 데랭아 수님만 이바게 롬tin 당보데 값은 아주 합지 산진 콜라요 모토지기인스.
And so today we'll start by talking about how to promote inquiry. Yesterday we talked about an inquiry mindset. And again, to remind you, this means how we can encourage our students or the monastics to ask and answer questions in our science classes.
다 데랭아 저 디값을 셔야데 디스트릭 셔와데 디스트릭 셔와데 가나스페고 그래서 대샤 인스테 계산이 반응아서 디스트릭이 삼루 철수세 디콜라 모터지오레스 디코 탑 디우지셰바 임바나 내가 수글 플리솔라 네타 춘철라 혼신 트립 값을 고슬라 진작에 나는 함선단 되어 주기 좋아 당해 저러 저 간다로 지던 거야라야 구마당고 그래서 에테레스
the dine the number so lan theoretic theory dinalia danilo chodin sum choya bala dinala mapeng 가져요네 차시장나 parental chikche chik I was just asking about how many of them have not attended any of our previous sessions, so it seems only one person is there, so I think we are good.
Okay, good.
Just to make sure, because some of the things that we are asking today, I think we are assuming that they know those things.
Yes.
From the previous session. Today, after drinking, lobbying, me use or that the twin sangmanalia, the body, the shire, that numbers of Jama, that so lobbying Chivakalia, lobbying Cordelia, the aware, you can image or the say what you should know. 기도버 속에다 자준 속이 아니 잠세기다 아니든 되게 시험치그레스 미유 되게레스 드링기 미유디 안데 게미나 소나 티제 시작이 아니 시종 감 로디 간데 시고야 되죠. 그디 당진아서 로진 차고 재단 나로래 되디 간데 냠도 치고면 직체 근데 니버디 아니 트리기다 그림저와 트리 그림 나로 트리기 락제라네 트리기 락네라네 되기도 디다 디 걔네치료 이메저가 디콜 넘버도 킹그레스 근데 숨바델이야 아니 냠두 셰존다 아니 치디 셰존이 개발저가 당연히 디 티사로라 근데 액티브 러닝다 패시브 러닝 저와 군이 바랄리야 개발하고 있면체 근데 디버틸린 진능로리아 디버틸린다 진능로리아 또 로디 야고 영향치 디버틸린 그래서 제고 얘기 다가로 간데스 최고의 매기다 답람 되게 시바치그레스 근데 내가 아주 디데기다 티제 시샤기 옵션 시에저라 딜리아 탄나 비수지어레 5E 모델 시에저레 디 모델 시에체 근데 내 블룸기 시행기 다 얘나 시주셔 되게 양지 모델 시에체 시주서마다 드링딘 낭로리아다 내대 방고지 근데 가시지 넘버도 망지 내가 아주 롭스롭 조사로 아니네 가시지 다 사월레 되었나 그치 그게 넘버 소 가서 슈구지올라 디야 자디 나로나 아니 그나도 저 당고디 디인라 다참 디나리안 퍼리 가시스도 알라 퍼리 당고들이나 돌린 체되게 체 니워들이야 마 이기티 되어체 숨버들이야 다 로진 로데 버치도 로데 버치 근데 시버들이야 루가 나로리야 다 체고 체되어체 닝아버들이야 다 렉처스 오라 시티 체되어체 다 디게 디 어둘로디 제외값을 되게 차상으로 오죠. 그러니까 그림 되게 차상으로 오지. 너무 지어로. 이도 선바다 디낭로네 아니 액티브 러닝 가리메 넘버서 외로에요. 아니 넘버서 자디나로 아니 장가 숨낭로리아 수수의 외디 로로낭 쉐. 쉬와 라선 맨다 지 미송 정말야 깨는나 타주마시다 소소소 가르 타쳐 어디야 샤샤는 되겠다 So Mina, I see a lot of A's and a lot of D.
What do you want them to do for E? We have 5 options.
Oh, E may not the numbers of conda. And E D should have the Kawu doing it. Kawu Jura. E Denangena. Or E, we have a couple of E's. Not many, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, Gonda. Numbers of the two the age or Dicably E D Kadune shoe cow the la. Cow mentioned. No. Okay. I'll go to the next slide. That's all. It's mostly A and D. I think.
Okay.
And there are some E, maybe 1 or 2 E's.
And no B and C?
I didn't see any. Is there any B? B na number so dinal. B can ya cash na ya karo na engage. I don't see any B. But there's one.
Maybe we'll ask Pasangla to tell us what is the most common because he's on the ground. He can tell us.
The person, I think maybe he's not around.
Stepped out. Okay. Okay.
Maybe any of the on-site instructor, if you can just share.
Which was most common?
I think the most common I can see quite well was A and then D.
D. Okay.
It's divided between A and D.
Okay.
Okay, go to the next slide.
Okay, so engaging learners to inquire requires some instructional strategies to support asking and answering questions.
That decouples that collaborative engaging and a lot to cars with non Jushi as a Gorata Lopicoso Monin Jushi Chialaya, and eco decups that Loptric Hapsiticas, Joa Talentia, Tantinado with Hapsimabuch or what Telayako, and Loptric Hapsi and not such a cool race.
So many of you identified doing and debating, which is a type of talking, as active ways of learning. But writing and creating are also active because the learner has to do something.
That under dinner is to go to lunch at any chicken to cure one yam to get COVID to Duka, right? But they choose to get the Garsa. Any daylight that her book on the chip was as active learning and the Yamdiki Jung will go and shas demonstration. Then I so get any trigger but shaggy or batia at the Yamdishi Junga Jangu or is that city that the day of Matan Yashi some stand the Jima Yashi, what you stangi or active learning at it. Then Munit on the Sabina, dig up sim banaya, Tobjan Chini Tigi Chigi Yozan.
So they are all of these writing, talking, doing, and creating require that the learner recall their prior knowledge in order to do something. And so we might think that writing is passive because somebody is just copying what they hear. But in order to actually listen, recall, interpret, and then the act of writing requires that they recall their prior knowledge.
Herpo on a chip druguyores, carry druguyores, Ngoma susu matrimonial GB capsula, Ngoma susula shisha carichio pate, Chetenchi buyorwa, Cheten Ngoma carichio pate, Samlutan, Chetenchino Jelaya, Samlu on the Tigalaya, Samji Tangadetan Gine, Itola Papuyorwa, Instambalaya, Dig capsim banana, Kola Herpu Goni, and Ichi Junchiagi, Koga Chashiti Ures.
Alternatively, listening, watching, and reading tend to be passive ways of learning. We're not actively engaging our brain in as many ways when we are just receiving information.
That take it door shot like a Nyamba Tawa, Loba Cosumbana, 아니 passive lana telu guni shijong chia deres de kap sim bana so nga so ge ripa dream chi samlu tang chi shu tang nga so chi hurpu guni chia ge number ti yo maris ani de kap sim bana nyamba ta lokpa kap sim bana rele chi de tim phajo kone chute kare chi tra lang du chi lanch warwa de number te chag yo chong ko telu guni ani shijong chia ge thablen chag yo res.
But with guidance and some modification, passive activities can become active. So for example, we will talk later through this course that reading or interpreting an image, if we have some prompts and ask the learner questions about how to interpret it, we can make the passive activity of reading an image more active.
다 이나 양스로 게팅한 속에 람튼 당 지잡줄 당 되게 그거 tinda로 마부치라 템바이나 단다 텔로 간의 시종치하게 답은 데다야 아니 그 가서고 더 후부 간의 시종치야서 그러다 되게 넘버라인 주역이 답고도 요레스 다 비차샤바이나로 단당가 저 림신던 함선 취용비 값을 선생나한테 고용 통용 그래서와 다 비차샤바이나 제마치랑아 속에 다 pershi tinda ro piri tinda ko longde chigu yoro piri tinda longde chiala ya ane ko nangtong kana ro chi do khorla ya ane chi longde chia gi lamtung gi chachwarwa te tag la gi te tag roram la tem bai na ngasu gi chi piri tinda longde chia lope gi ngo ti skorata longde chia gi ngo te ya ane ko khurpu gane gi dubya gi shegula ya jut ki yores.
So some examples of active learning include some of these. We've just included a few. So making content relevant, excuse me, so that it allows the learner to actively make connections between their prior knowledge and what they're learning. Should I stop?
Yes. 단다 데네네 비청카시 지식인 스타 냠르게 시종스나 아니 헐부간의 시종 지야세 데레 비청카시 지식인 스타 담보데 데라의 마음부 여기나네 카시 직단샤요스 담보데 임바이나 조텐티 아니 수수가 니캅기 카스브르타 갑텐 땅저 주자지 버와 데나도 주저 바임바이나 카리샤요레세나 네 럽종 지니 되기로 럽종 지니 되게 콜라 유베게 아니 지금 선천난 게 저와 유지다 수수 ngomalaya susu ngayoge sheshatang jawa tuachwarwa tiga number yung grace.
Writing to learn and drawing to learn, which are activities where the instructor gives very specific prompts about why the learner should be writing and why they should be drawing. And in this session, we will talk about this year's class, we'll talk about writing to learn. Another year, we'll talk about drawing to learn.
That and the dickups and nyotikalana and decision jonata, remote decision jonasagoro, you can decision jonata, remote decision jonata, dickups in bina, dickups, and a gigang in bina, ko yiki decision jonata, and a carsaboreta, remote decision jonaga, Junsen Karimba, what of Jontinado, Giagi, Tablinti Tango, Junsen Karimbatia, decision grace, that is Tabala. Taluge Lomsenchina Suge, Ikin Region Jongas or Region Jonga Tigi Kola, and a Mutochigins, and a remote Region Jonga Sate, and a Luigi Machila Mutochigins.
And with reading to learn, as I explained, if you give prompts of the purpose for reading, we can make a passive activity very active. And again, this is something we'll cover in another year.
That's but the Lotion Jonga in Bina. Lojin John D. Capsin Banner, that loyalty la ya, that culture, Tumsen step and a lawyer, Tumsen step and a Tumsen take you the logo Jinsen Karimba, they loaded on me Karimbagi, Lamtungi each and which you could chip by Bina, and it take up some so that Telu Giranjala Yopi Shijungi Chebudia, and then also Hurpu on the Chasagura, then Yamdri Shijungi Mula Dryuris.
So for the next 3 project-based activities, group work, and laboratory activities, these are often conducted in a small group of maybe 2 or a few more students at one time. And they often involve either creating something or answering some type of question. And this year we will touch upon group work and touch upon some laboratory activities.
That Jimasum Jiorwanga to Lichi Chegotang Rukok Jawatang and Tashik Chegujora, Teta in Bina to the Mi Nitayana, Mi Tilimagi Parolaya, Nyamli Gani, and a Karsure, Dwayo Chutina Dochi race, Nyamti Chutina race, that under the Bina, Yanko Chiate, Yanko Giagalampton, a Yupi move on a Chiwet in the race, Netalu de Capsim Bina. Ngasu ruka ke ani chawa te kana ro chichigo meta takshe che gute kana ro dugu mete kolo motu chayes.
And then the final two, presentations and debate, both involve the students speaking and sharing something. This year we won't talk about either of these, but as you may notice, the debate is something that is very central to monastic learning.
Tati go in chat on what is gentle jerwa and this is jetrua that the jelaya drilling satiris. And then Nisha Yanko take up in bina, ko at Yamdishi Jung Pitching, but they take up so for Shani, take it up for the Hurpuk on a shaggy or whatever, the number the Chaguson, and take us Yamdishi Jung, and a Hurpuk on the Joy, a number the Chaguris. Talu in Bainanga so a tin Chakolaya, and a shoe Mutuchi means in Bainaya. Then the drilling data happened to any Gundi Shiyung Nalaya and Hachin get some chaguris.
So one thing I want to say before we move on is that debate, although many of you may be familiar with it, using it to teach science may be a little different. We might have to think as a teacher, how do we have an end point? Because otherwise, if we have questions that have no ending, it may be frustrating for the student in the science class to not have any resolution.
Then the Dulan said, so at that Yamyon the Tizores, Imbaina, Gigansk Muni, Chesuga Samlu Samutang Wadi Karishagores, Dulan Telaya, Dulan Chichebaina, Dulan Telaya, Tamag Tacho, some Rochi Kola Shagimbe, Satigala, Compashuko Ketchamuchires, the Tenri Tinigi Gigangichumuganis. Wa Instambalaya, Temena, and a co Dolanche, co Tamela to smooth the Doge, Hamatelaya, Lepsica me Pachabaina, Yanko, Tian Capuchires, Tegalaya, Giganchim Bigone, Senjil Hamson Tinchim Bigone, Tegalayanko, some Tangures.
Okay. The Nyamdip session or an active learning data numbers of Kotoseo Chai roll. The dinner test, Jushis Mandajil do roll. The Siri Koranli, Chidan, Yevadoch, the Chidan and Siri and Dizzy Yevat Marta, the king ones of the dim membership. Siri Koranli, the Yevadoch Chevina, Siri Kotosland, that Siri Nanglolia, the Chick, Tin K. Shavik, Namchamango roll. The decade number young date is rotten out the Siri Koranzu, the Kenny Uding Namshat. The dinner Paju Delia and Siri Gurim and Kilaxis Pusherol, the intimacy Laxel Sumea, Lagorangi Chewarang membership, which is done in Zeldoch. The D gave Ras Nangjuda, President of China, President Namua Lunda Topas Ngorol. Paju de Lunda Cheta, Siri Namsha de Chana Yorwa, and the near Topa did not do the Yamland of the roll. Then she the Siri Rangi the Yamle Rang the Yume Christ, the Siri Rangi the Chick. Sora, some down, Koranzu, some shutdown, and Koranzu, Gundu Chedi, Chaju Sora, the gate the Injiminji, the City Dobri Chev Capria, City Kodo did the numbers with Tigra, didn't she didn't to any tell the like this, the Kongoshiku roll. Chisamata Dini, the Chidan City, the Yavado, need to check. The dinner, now to tell the that the largest or this several should make this year, Chewol, the the magic only a number sort and ditch together. That city tell the some numbers of tool current congregation came and do teach Tirona or city Lazel and city Laglen and do scientific process skill, scientific practice, Nika Shire all the Dini Conjiming the Resha. Niga Pishutango, and the numbers of deal numbers of Tatangi, the Japsara, some numbers of Tulia and Karakungudo, 비중 가시 수도 탭나 맞추나. 예, 까마 니시 비그러라.
Dawa, you're okay that I'm adding little more than just what's on the slide?
That's great.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember how much. I'm always amazed that you remember what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to get more coffee. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Sure, no problem.那么就开始所题材那了，那也等到的如果的我就等到车上里写的学了，等到那么就导致这个讲里等 computer 这里了，落来这里了，的能落里等真的个 Google Classroom 就了，的那配 Google Classroom 那么就那个 screen 的通过多了，and process skill activities 这个一直学的，你一直这里那边那了，你Google Slide 就通过的。Google Slide 지트 아니 디 낭로리아 아니 수수 루가 낭리아 가지 주도 총하셔라 그래서 되게 디 아니 루가 당분이와 디 강강디 아니 루가 미워 숨바 시방아바 두바 개버버디어라 그래서 아니 수수 루가기 디 낭로리아 아니 티나로나 단다 귀난 지네틱도 인진난 지네틱도 남았어
And Tenzin, this is good because if we're trying this out, we can share with the other instructors.
Yeah, I'm trying this out. I was trying the Zoom whiteboard,
Yes.
but I don't think that's going to work very well. So we decided to do this with Pasta.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, so they're going to type the responses, giving some examples of process skills.
And we can share these strategies of, I know we've shared it with the other instructors, but we can compile them.
Sure.
You know, I think when I cannot see the cards when they're doing the cards. So I wonder if we have one of the on-site instructors who can just tell us the most common.
Yeah, what I have been doing is I'm trying to change the view and then I try to pin the classroom view.
Oh.
And then that gives me the whole class on the screen. So I can, that's where.
So how do I pin it? Oh, because you're the host.
No, you are also a host. So I mean,
yeah, but I only see standard side by side, speaker side by side gallery.
If you do the standard, right?
Oh, I can do pin.
You can do pin, and then you can increase the size. I mean, as much as you want.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, because we don't need to see ourselves.
No.
Okay, so Mina, you see this document, right? See the monks typing.
I'm sorry.
Are you able to see the screen now?
I'm
sharing my screen.
I can see.
Okay. You see the monks typing, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So I can just go around. So this group 1 and 2. Making hypothesis, doing experiment. I think you can read this.
Yes.
I'll try to read group 8.
8, not B, yeah.
Showing different models. Using drawing to increase understanding. Okay. That's what the group 8 has written.
They have really good answers. Inventing an airplane.
Inventing airplane, data observing, Analyzing. I don't see anyone from group 5.
What is,
I hope
where's
I hope their computer is working. And group 3, they've deleted my title. Group 3. Clearing doubts and then doing observation.
where did you put this link for this? Did you put
So
it in?
it's in the Google Classroom.
Classroom, got it.
In the assignment, I have put it there. In the
Good,
assignment.
okay. I mean, I'm just going through the slides that we have outside of the
Oh,
Google
do you
Classroom.
want to share the link in the chat?
No, it's okay. I'm seeing it here. This will be,
Okay.
but this is good. So we're modeling for them active learning because they are writing,
Mhm.
right? And so they have to,
Yeah.
in order to write, they have to think. So if they're thinking, they're actively engaged. We should remind them that this is why writing is active learning.
제가 나머서 단단 간주 카운트도 간주에게 마디시 해줘라. 되게 딩아란주기 달롭디 체다 넘버솔이야 모두 치고라. 딩아란주기 무슨 낙련리에 계획이 답시시기로라. 지금 뭐다 단단 간주기 넘버서 마티주에디 아니 티주 티베갑라 넘버서 소모당고라. 당체 아니다. 소저기 딩에 냠명다 아니 딩에기다 시제디게 마 퇴용 거라. 아니 디토네 아니 제제디야 공배 당초라. 디 넘버서 가지고 미드엔 로신 Okay, I think we can move on.
These are wonderful responses. I'm really pleased.
Yeah, I think group 4 is struggling. I think maybe they have some issues with the computer.
Yeah, they have one.
Yeah.
But group 5 figured it out. Let's make sure that we can ask what is group 4. Is it only the computer or they don't know? We could make sure that Fasan can help them.
일단 넘버 쪽이 단디낭로리아 망부치 세대샤 당아주 당기년에 가족이 세리가 락제 디게래라는 시장 어디 시장에 디게라 당아주 어디 맞이부치 낼 넘버 수종은 섬당주 근데 신행 아주 당 어디 치게로 그디 세리기 락제기 스킬 뜻사 뜻사 용다 뜻지 디시 잡대죠라 디게 나래 디게 망치시 넘버 주디나 레샤 답변시는 다시 피해줘라 observation 제 직제 아니 디듀드 somebody 가족이 수수 가르 observation 다시 가르쳐야네 되게 된 제발 디시 야고 그러 근데 저 다지 objectively 그 somebody imagination 다지 방다다 공개 이해되고도 어찌 근데 제 근데 ESL 제저라 classifying ESL 제다 처리 나오도 ESL 제배 먹어요 미스에 가는 기능이다 나오 다지 지신이나 지신다 신전다 소자 되게 ESL 제저라 디네 체제 망고여라 뭐감 줄이다 나이메나 미스 체제 배망고여라 다지 디네 아니 더 동고보 남뒤나리 영고보다 제베기 좀 봤습니다. space time 체 아니 더 얘네들 더 알아줬다 맨전 astronomy 도 가르쳐도 되게나 샨디도 다지 남과나 통데 기타 뭐보되게 편주 바를 되어 가리면 되게 대화되는 줄 알아. 뭐부 바라래. 또 이제면 첨복해 그거 맞다. 뭐부 춘주인데 얘네 되게도. 근데 내 단기 prediction 데 남 망치 되도라. 뭐바 체제. 안 제바 체제. 근데 아니 당진 교장 라이디 controlling variables 라. 따디 세리기 experiment 체제. 당가 저기 교장 찔이야. 니 당진 지나 아니 이게 좀제 만다고 가르치는 거 돌면 따지 체제로. 디테일나 따지 체제. 지금 되게 망체지 까지 제직서로 먼저 여기 내가 최고의 도시로도라 그디 세리기라 그림기 락제기다 배전되게 체 그디네 아주 단다 최고 튜디 시기로라 디낭로라 아니 당고도 메동 비진 투서라서 말해 최고 당고 지고 체체 아니 넘버서 미레레리아 아니 난 체로라 그러 나가 돌로디게 망고 비주단 것도 알아 근데 제레 난게 디 단계 람도디 제일 주에체 아니 디 낭로리아 아니 나보종에 다시 제직제 아니 디워테레 초바체레 되게 가리가리 연구도 직세로나 디 미레리아 단계에 가시 당연히 곱시게 합시다 미 정말 마다나 미니 님도 신내 되게 돌아와 딜하메기 단 최고니디 양라다 캬웨기 쇼고쇼라 디지마 상이 쇼바 단다 그게 단다 온사이트 인스톨러여라 프랑스 님 나야들 저때나 보소 단다 세도데 미레리아 라스웰 세도다 단다 슈구데 라이거라 김샷 단다 리미 요데기 슈구디 넘어서 냐슈르나 니 상이 지도 숨버셔라 상이 쇼과 뒤 양겹 주다야래 다들이 단다디 당보셔로 아디나리아 넘버스 디나야다 단다디 세도디 수조리아 라라와라 라스도 좀 세도디다 딜리아 동분이도 알 군이 냠도 자르샤도 알 다디니 군이 파 로가 카테로 알 니 로가지 카테 아디네 군이 수랑자지 잘안 수랑자 잘에 디다 아 거래 잡시 갑조 다멘들리 자르이나라 넘버스기 가레가레 도난 주부에 디직스 paginaliya tadinale rumutine digitu ani number so gi tadi target chindu chene number so samju kariyo pagina so pagi rimi jora dinaliya trona
So Tenzin, I don't know if you know how the inventor of Velcro came up with Velcro. Do you know?
I remember briefly, I've forgotten now. Yeah.
He looked at the bottom of the feet of caterpillars because they could walk on upside down on the leaves. And so that is the inspiration because they have little hooks underneath their feet. And so that is
maybe, yeah. I was thinking, Mina, maybe they can come up with their own hypothesis about how it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry.
No, we can do that after this. Yeah. I like the story. I really like the story. Yeah. Maybe you can explain the story after this.
Yeah. I forgot there's some name like biodesign or something where engineers are inspired by biology. I forgot the name. Yeah, there's some phrase for that.
I have a question here, Sonam. Until the reversed lana the capsing it as no loss or what the caps reversed lana during the
Kasho many the dos chargina that those pa allogaps and jargido magic sea roll and those telestage jargi magic sea. And that is deep somewhat taship chigora observation raw. And you digate number so chitsa gelia, any that pandegi chegojero dinang lolia, any Siri Gurim Gilate, Kariga Sugodoji Dinalia numbers. So Yarona.
Sonam, my question is reversed means like reverse the direction or reverse the inside out and try.
Inside out, Mare, Tamangel, the dos Chergira.
Yeah.
And near Puspa Allogaps to Cherry.
Reverse chair, do I?
Oh.
So like ulta.
Yeah, I think the Tibetan translation was kind of like upside down, I think.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, upside down, then it wouldn't stick at all, right? From there. And number so that did that. So the Tibet Nanglia and the remote on any Kisi di Laga Chedanjara, the numbers we get Chumba Chetu, remote Chentuna Yabudo.
Really, then the Tirisha, Nuatina Laya, Shina Loni Yam to do a bypassing do it. China Loni Marsha, take us and go down logic yours. Gotan lo lana hago do atompo ya ko jago na jela ya kama ko jai to degree 180 degree transition ta sarse jata jaj tamba kama lo chi jare shi 되게 질라다 텔라지아르시.
Mina, I think you're leading this, right? It seems like the numbers of two consider agone. Numbers of Daji Chazan Taswell, the deal.
I think I put both of our names here. It doesn't matter. Because I'm going to lead the whole section about the 5 E's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think you're just finishing this up and then I'm going to start. Yeah.
Numbers
all
of
of-
Tangi Sugar Remijor, then Anglolia, that city Laza Karikari, you made the Chita Gabra, Nazuki, Chego Cherola, Dill. And did you go numbers of Ruanalia to do chair, to do the Kainshina, Tangilia and Azuki and the active learning Jorola, Yamup Shejong, the Huberton Jayajora. Did Tandegi the city Gurim Gilazeshora, Queen Baralia, Devo Kar dos numbers.
Do you want them to share some answers?
Yeah, I'm going to ask them to share. And then the jelly, I think Ruba needs maybe how many 2 groups?
Yes.
How much time? Yeah,
How about
Ruba
this?
share now.
This time we should do table 1 and 3. Yesterday we didn't call those.
Okay. 저게 당보다 수번인. 넘버도 까먹하실 수도 나로라. the 당기엘이 냠줍 시종 가리메기 디제리 겹사로라.
로 댄스감라
라오.
단다 몽부치 디 단다 ngazu table 스테이와 디나나 장에 탑시 땅데 샤디 단데 장고 워르베
디 수수수 양 수수수 제고거라. 오늘은 수수수 양 장차의 젤리야 아니 누가 낭로리에 주도 제래.
장에 디 아니 틱게 마르와 디 observe 카리 총소다 디 question 카리 메디 장고 워르바
제가 observation 틱주고 전에 되기도 observation 디나리아 도 안디네 샴바 가리가 예매셔라.
알레나스
디메나 나머지 인데 전에 되기도 레라 친너로 또 디나리아 치리기 라제 망고치도 추디어라. 디낭로네 다 계시셔 가르샤 당보 니와 숨발란 부스타 얍샤나. 안기 당고디 다 계시셔 되지. 안디네 니와 숨바시고 도스타 얍. 일레라용
What was the question? They were trying to understand the direction.
No, so we gave them the table. They're not sure whether they should just put a tick mark or what should they do. So I just so I asked them. I mean, given there are actually 3 different parts to this, so like they have to put the 2 pieces together and then take them apart, and then put it in a reversed and crossways. I asked them. I mean, if they can rank. I mean, which one of these is mostly involved? Maybe one put like numbers 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
So I mean, if they think it's more about hypothesizing, so they just put 1, and then that's the primary, and then number 2 is observation, and then likewise. Yeah. 맞아, 세우 좋은데 하고 남들
So there's a Tibetan word for Velcro?
Tao has translated something. I don't know if it's commonly used or not.
Neutron.
New term. I think it's a nice term because it's based on the sound.
Oh, okay. So it's like transliterated.
Yeah, no, not translated as Velcro, but like how it
I
sounds
think
when we. Mhm.
Oh,
yeah, all the groups are clear and they are almost done with this.
okay.
Like kicking
Okay.
and numbering. So
And then ruba nanglo liya tadi to do share da. Tagi active learning da and the process skills to ala. Tige para liya dewa khari yamet. Mina, did you say group 1 and 3, right?
Yes.
Ruga tangbo da sumbani
How many groups are there altogether?
8.
8, I think.
Oh, okay. I can't use the dice to roll and see which number. I only have 6 sides on that. So you see, Tenzin, we didn't connect yesterday in the afternoon. I added times and I sort of modified some of the next slides. I think we should just talk today really quickly to help make sure that we have all of the rest of the slides done so that Dawa can translate.
Sure.
I mean, they're mostly done, but we just need to make sure that they're.
나머지 ruga tangbo da sumbani ne 최고 체계셔로 ala 디기 냠용 손에 되도. 지기 지시에 나오는 안 되는 아주 무튼 죽일라.
the open shaga 누가 당보다 스무라고
되기도.
active learning the process skill para ki connection shuniye
디다 한다 다디 한다 웰그로 딱제 쉐로 알아 무슨 이게 딱제기 냠용 손에 되기도 수고하지. Okay, let's continue.
Okay,
I think enough wait time, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So do you want to tell the story about Velcro and then we can transition to the.
Yes, I think. So what I want to ask the participants what they noticed on the bottom of the Velcro. What does it look like?
다올라 까만치 차상 조도나는 코르데샤 양닝에서 민두다 단다.
They're still discussing.
They are all very busy discussing.
Busy discussing, like, you know. So I'll grab the attention for everyone.
1 minute, actively discussing.
아니 아주 process 디치나 direct 마드로셔나라.
That's all.
Yeah, I think we can continue then.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I say a word, Mina?
Yeah, Pasangwa, can you ask somebody to help explain what they observe on the Velcro?
You tab게 입에. 벨코가 expedi.
알레 디간라 시고로 더 믹스 셰어스메다 지난가랑 도바 가르사서스나 디다 갑독 도스 자르와다 딘데 자와 도치 cross share the Pega Javani, the Java Sarari now some another case. Chicena, the Lechevina, and Ishida Javime, and awesome. Chikar some sort of delay, said the intimate dinner with the Kukudo Suyana, and contain a Kukudo Suyana, Yanko Lamsa, during Bokarchen a day to Yana Sameto. Chinanga to Jala Kukudo Suyana, Data Kojargo, in a day during Jargo, Yang Jago, and during go Jaya de Karchen Chiguna Sameta. Ne, did this Jarvata, this Jarvani, the Shukchi, Parantango Tono, the Dose Cross Chevina, there's a Chunga Janet source. That was.
A lot of doubt and a lot of questioning when he was doing the experiment, because he's wondering why this thing, the macros, just stick together if you just pull them out like apart them often. You do it again, you do it again, you do it again. They still stick together very strong. And why? How is this happening like this? Also, he's just wondering why he's reversed the direction, or he's just stick together a crossway, and he felt like it stick more stronger when it is in the aligned in the parallel direction rather than crossed. So he's just wondering all that.
Those are wonderful questions. Can I ask somebody to tell me what they observe? What is Velcro made of? What does it look like?
That the tanda trust na de tanda ge dashi zu pe ya bu chang sha swa ne tanda twa de ti yin sa ne che zu chi na ne de la ye de shi jan ye ye sa ka sa ne de vakro yo wa tanda chato te ne ku kanda do chi dus ku kanda do kare ge zu ju re dus te ko la de shi cha ro chi da sa.
당분간 딱지 맞으면 나부터 코로나를 야고 뒤기로 할라. 진짜 코로나를 따비서 뭐 코로나한 게 키즈도 없이 간데도 없어. 뒤면부터 너 공주성이 있어서 저 고음은 들라. Pasang was trying to speak.
Mute.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah,
on.
can you? Yeah, there is one more who want to share the experience first. Like, it's okay.
Okay.
다 저 섬시 주시죠 제시 가르스나 단다 디와스도아 가르사 최제 냠르시 리지 라제니 제바든 대화 가르두 세스도 되게 가서디 치르 자양디 나라 가르두 라나 아니 이 리모티에 들어 가르스나 가서 리모티 봐 디나라 리모람 레티 가르스나 코 디 춘주디니 코 자당 리모티라 니 시도 드레싱 가서 파스 시리체라 됐어 이 드루바도 돼 가르치는 안저 파스 자리 제라 인디잖아. 근데 that you know active technology 매지 그래서 creative 페이지 maybe 손라시도 디나라 사바 스웨스도 데드 창문도 스타딩 안저게 섬시르 데드 창문데 셴바 강가던데 디 슬라이드 나로에 디 두스.
So they want to share their observation or their thought about the connections between the active learning and the process skills when doing the Velcro experiment. What they did is like drawing and sharing and doing all components are there when they draw a lot of pictures, how they can stick together, and the sharing, they discuss about these things, and then doing, they just put together or just take them apart. In this process, they didn't see there is the creating component of it, because they didn't create anything of there. Yeah, that's what they observed over there.
So in fact, actually, I think those are all excellent observations, because we didn't ask them to create, but I was going to share that in fact, the scientists who made Velcro, when they were creating Velcro, they were observing what they saw in nature in order to create the Velcro.
다다디 값을 제주고 대고 답시 정하다 도노 정하다 빼야고 정신 다다디 값인 바나 아니 제주고 데라야 지당아 주 사튼지야 저 creating 사튼지야게 나바티다 요 말했어 지금서 양치 로지라야 로지 간에 셰바인 바나 담보 단당아 주 최적의 존이게 되어와 최적 존이게参与 바테게 그 담보 정하지 담발라 담보 니 랑성 감게 네땅땅네스 그나로 주도 세테 직다 대던 데라야 똑시 지와라네 대던 최적 주주레
So they were finding it's actually a concept that is unifying across all of the sciences. The scientists were finding a connection between the structure of something and its function. And so they observed actually caterpillars that were able to walk underneath leaves. And they wondered, how is it that the feet of the caterpillar can hang on to the leaf without falling? And so looking at the structure of the caterpillar's feet, they could find a connection. They see little hooks underneath. So the function is to hang on. And that's how the Velcro was designed and created.
다다다 되게 값을 왕아주 도노 제바이바나 다 천리파가 그쪽에 다 천리께 찔라 채비게 차비하게 안에 내탕친들로 고쳐지고요. 레스피카레스는 가속에 그 바탕 챌린저로 그 바탕 챌린저게 바로 그 저와치된 거로 어떻게 저와딜라야 아니 가수 디가라 원스도 붕엉용거레스 단다게 내탄디 값을 차쪽 값이 임바이나 디 존이게 담보 천리파되게 가리 독시 중요레스나 캐터필러스나 가수가 응음부식대샤 아니 가시게 심불라도가 심부티 네 로마고 올라 쿠드스 담발라야 쿠드르트코요레 로마고 올라야 제데 담아 사가요 말와 사가멜라 쿠드르트코요레 스타 드르트 담발라야 텔라야 독시치데티 아니 독시치데스 담발라야 아니 고게 타쿠 타디 젤레티칼라나 야 제데디 젤레로와 젤레티 젤라야 콜라야 괴바카리 칭두스 담발라야 아니 시부티게 강바가 강라야 땅아 주 척축 나신로 훅스로 척축 나신기 그런라야 조타요파 고파요파데 그런 거 두나정요 레스트텐스 담발라야 니 고파 땅 셰레틴 차가 바로 그 저와텔 시샤데다 단당아 수 척족사데 조주틴다레스.
So before we move on, I'll say to be a good scientist, you must be a good observer.
나 맞마트응에라야 지셔야지라야 지수 산루바야 부지 진이 줘봐이나 담보들라야 아니 나수가 다시 진이 줘라 잡지 다시 진이 아니 야부지 차고요 레스.
Okay. Thank you. 전당에 직직 쉬고라 더 냠도 active learning 저라 디다 안디 라젠이 빠라기 되어져라 냠도 세션데 가디 쳐베네 로 알타부터 active learning 이기 탑람디 가디 듣는 배주땅베네 이 세리가 라제셔라 디게기 디나리다 10체 단 70체 왕고스도라 디게 차단도 줄리 연구를 나머지 소소도리 제가 갑리야 따바 마 디게 가지고 멤버십 아니 디게기다 하다디 라제기 릭셔라 디게디 가지고 듣는 망아 연구인의 라싱기다 active learning 디 유에버레다 나머지 듣는 진짜 군이 바라기 데버도 디니로라 근데 단 남샤서라 단 모델 싸우지 모델 지기로라 남부 중에 디 시기를 선고도 방고 지기 네 킹이 매너다 디 밍리아 단딜레도 블룸스 텍소노미 체 디 밍디 블룸디 디레샤 단 벤자민 블룸 미 코라랑기 밍리아 아니 밍톤네 따샤겨도라 디 블룸기 예즈드 나글로리아 땅안 주기다 남부 중 신윤 로션 되고라 디두 삼바 신윤 로션 되고 갑리아 아니 로션기 림바마선나 림바도 치바이나 림바디 가리가리 연구했다. 또 당고들이야다 tadi anda di susum dosnal kedwala kedu sambato wo di temperature ra tadi lonjin che ne ra ji tenso the jo ra remember che jo ra temperature che ane to wale du sambata ko ko to e jo ra tsiri ki ta tinshu ki namsha ne ra ta kari pegyu ki namsha dige chaza ko che jo ra su ji to ba de che ta dile ya jumbo test thor du samba dige ta temba dan to ba yu de di peju dang che ra 아니 내가 사월이야 또 그주 시도 비주당 등에 지도 좀부터 디 딜레 좀부터 터치 다 딜레야 단도 토르 쳔바이나 다 제버 체벌래 저러 다 수수기 tenga 장세 여기 다 남자 주나 디게 디 마 카테 저러 카테세 안 컨트롤이야 예세 제시다 디게 빠라리야 대화 100도스 로 진짜 다 딜이야 수수 제버 체통이 차위나 다디 뭐 딜을 토하처러 다 디네 딜이야 강리야 치면은 디 evaluate 세저러 다 타주스네 다한다 다디 제버당 70니 더블 체크도 또 제버 돈에 아니 다 타주 제국으로 또 벤자신의 등얘기 남자질이야 다지 상계면은 상계 매वे기 다 견자다 야면은 디파랄레 난게다 디여베나 디게 타주 제도에 직셔와 디 타마들이야 크리에이트도 삼바다 살도 제셔와 다지 대가 큐는 대가 여딩에들이야 또 논주 망고 토주 삼바다 디수저랑 싸워스듯이 다디 다 토셔도부체 다디 원에 야주도 삼바다 공요도 있으면 워워들 렐라셔듯이 근데 야 좀 토르토르도 칼레 카로 되체 나머지 가란주 롭지 제벽값이야다 롭지 디 낭로리야다 너머서 롭전 테버값이야다 디게 차단 상계 위험이지 차단 상화도 연구 말아 다 가와 리기 위험이 수수 제버 채고야 디 가란 수수 선모단에 펜도 연구 좀 들어라 딱바 따지 템바다 똑바 랑갈 맞대부치 안 가브레야 그주 제요 배주단에 요딩이 저러 남자 디게 apply 제제 아니 무슨 나글린 게 근데 요바다 야 가브레야 제도 제버체다 데 요딩이 저러 따디 다가 저기 신서라도 롭도 제가 가브레야 다 연한도 어디 카 듄 시기도 tuk시기도 디나리에 요체션 되기도 따디 블룸기 연한체 다 드링아도 다 need mango shoes kodo chora dine 5e model mina you doing this right
Yeah, this doesn't matter.
yeah I think you're doing
Yes. So all of you will be creating a lesson plan for this class. And this is just to model, we want you to practice how you can create lesson plans throughout your teaching. And this lesson plan is designed around something called the 5E Model Inquiry Learning Plan.
단다 가속에 험천 디기 값을 딱고 sabjandi kapsen rigor setsu hamsen tribi kapse na zode setsu ge hamsengi chargo choro hamsen chargo chiate ne setsu method to sanango yores wat na ya la ya ne ramdo che che to kola yanko physics ma so physics ram da chi yores wa tan de la ya tanda ge physics de chikten sha jude ka res na district ge sijung ge chesis goro ata inga dengi physics gres de la.
So many of you may think, maybe you have experienced or you've observed that teaching is just sitting and listening to somebody talking. But this model, the 5E model, is trying to break down teaching into 5 steps that encourages active learning rather than just passive listening.
To tricky system balaya, chiki chiganishe, one chiki chine, the number to chilaya, for a munchi cigarettes. Tanda, and dig cups in banner, eating a dingy piece in the galaya, and a chorangle home, 10 triage or home 10 triade, or chashi mampuchi la yuache, chashi mampuchi la yuachi de day, some 10 triade, chiganishe, but the one chicken, but some mimba, and you call Carsuleta. Nyamdrigi si jonsugor na herpi goni lobjun chiage namba tenalo chilaya zoyo chig namba chi chagres.
So if you notice from these 5 E's, which I will explain in the next slides, that explain, that is letter C, that's in the middle of the 5 E's. So actually we start with engaging the student, allowing them to explore before they engage in explanation and the teacher engages in explanation. So the traditional lecture portion is actually only in the middle of this whole model.
Tanda dina ni chi taba imbai na nga so yang re nga na jishe de wala jigi ins imbai na tanda de kaps deshe sa chi do wa explain chi ag deshe chi ach gorwa deshe chi ati rimba kola leg dos na rimba simba de tanda de kas se de do wa parot leg yures de ka res na ani tampo engage nyamji chi chi ga ti jela ya chosup chi chi ga ti jela ya nga so da deshe sa ti mbores tan namji nga so 지금 영코 소진기 삼천 치약인 대시지야지고와 소충문이 대시지야는 거래 기గిం문이만 대시지야지고와 티 다다 디기에 아니 비즈딜레시샤 파이나 아니 름바 파르마딜레기레스.
So for example, Tenzin asked you to play with the Velcro. You were engaged in the trying to understand what Velcro is. Then he asked you to explore how process skills and these different skills are related to one another. Then only we asked you to explain, and then we explained. So we were modeling for you the beginning part of this 5E model.
ता तंदे दिगे when te la ya chardro ki gan la chi tu che gu che barwa ti tensionam la gi what to gan che baresta ti kap sim baina kare chi ores na tampo che chu ta nyamshi chi de tan ti gan kan ro chi chi do de ro chi chi do sa chi ro ko le ka chardro ko le ka che ta ti gan la ya ani ko che gu dra ba tan ti ge je la ya ku ge leka chetang namba kan ro chi do sa chi ro wa ote gang la chi chu ge shi chi yores chinu je la ne che chu gu ni te la ya kan ro ta shi chong song ti kan ro chi leka kan ro chi chi ge do se te gang la che chu kan de shi ja ti je la ya ane nga chu gu ni pha che chu do de shi ja ba yes the this tamba la ya data ke ane ku ge pangram chi ro e nga deng ge page kan ne ramban data tanda nga chu gu ne ne chi chu lan trip up se yang ko ka su re ta ni se la la ke de tan do sa chi chu la ni se tun ji sha yes.
And then elaborate is the step where we allow the student to return to the topic and expand on what they have, their prior knowledge and now the new knowledge that the instructor brings. And then finally evaluate happens actually, even though it's stage 5, it happens actually throughout. And that's why in the picture, evaluate is in the middle.
Tanda the Shiba the Jisha Sacho, elaborate Sacho, or Tanda the Dita Drippy Jelaya, Yanchi Joshi Tegana law, Joshi Tegana law, they think that Tegana Yakuta Jirtanch or Tigi till that Tampo Toxichon, Tilly Telly gave us, or the Tilly gave data Toxichanatan, a Shimchi or a Tijishi Resta, Nava Tilaya, Ningasu 10 J's, 10 J's is number, she took out till him and do Sacho, or what the Tagi or what that day. 이한테 단단들 같은 거 주방을 가운데 치치요레스 임반에 치수게 대 체제야데 그 시중게 름바마스는 잉아den기 비즈인데 나네 그 방금 참하게 나나라 정부에 받는다고 그래서 된다고 인자 단다 르무나타 바인바나 퍼시디나타 바이나 단다 체제스 이발루에이트 세데 니 비르시데기 키말라샤요레스.
You can go ahead. Oops. Okay, so let me go through each of these 5 E's briefly. Engage is the first step. And this is where the teacher is sparking the student's interest in the topic. Maybe the teacher is asking questions or showing pictures or videos, or perhaps demonstrations, or maybe the teacher gives the student something to look at, like you had with the Velcro.
Tanda di kapsang asu pangram re la ya desi jage insro tanda di kapsin bana tampo te nyamchi se es nyamchi se di kapsa ta su te karchi gore sena karsa gore ta gigeng ge joshi ko lo thopthila ya lete yip do de ing tunang le chi ya chorwa ing le chi ya chorwa otte chi gore sta picha shabaina tela draw do chi draw ta yana perchi tomba ta yana nyen tomba yana mitten se she do chi ta yamna tangeng asuge chardok ngala chi drbyora chardok ngala drpana shinge chala chila pasha de ta tela ya taship chi chi chorwa otne ru chi chi wa tinda res.
So this stage is not important for the teacher to tell the student what is the correct answer. The purpose is to assess what prior knowledge students are bringing to the classroom.
Tanda degi pangran de kapse netan ke chishite karcha gore sena degi kapse ro tanda degi ta nyamchi se degi gurum degi kapse ani sopri degi land go jabdo nora jabdo se ti ise che ti ke chembu mares 디 값이 게 지시도 걸려나 롭트라 야코 내로기 시샤 카리라 우치도 스테 하고 지야데 아니 게 전부 작업했어.
And so for the purpose for the student is the teacher is trying to create something called the need to know. We want the student to be excited and engaged in wanting to participate in that class.
다 롭트라야 주 ngazu 중고에 가려는 롭트텔라야 알레민 데이터 시 구근도 와세기 지금 도파트야 지거와 신이 주야게 나와트야 지거와 어디 안에 기계문에 파트 주고요레스.
Okay, you can go to the next, Tenzin. Okay, so the next stage is the exploration. And this is when the teacher is assigning a task to introduce students to a topic, to encourage them to ask questions. And here, these are some pictures that I had done in one of my classes with my co-teacher. And we gave photographs of different organisms, and we asked our monastic students to categorize them on what is alive and what is not alive.
다 안요티 소십 사이트리 가르서네 기긴기 롭트 줄라야 조지스틱테 아니 롭트 줄라야 아고 다 조아 도야기 그마다한테 레스타데 고만데 홈청 고마 트샤주치 인스타 트비캅스 gelade 로칸체 카리치오레스나 아니 고 퍼마부치테 데이터가 나라야 아니 고 소댕가리 소도 마덴바카리레 세게 조아티 당데타 쿠술라이 두스 인지지지요레스.
So this is an example of active learning. They had to think about what their prior knowledge is and really determine what they considered alive or not alive, or living or not living.
Then kapsimbanan dekalana nyamdugi shijong didagi pitsanchi chagoresta karchila baina ko lobtuchuge ko kangi chigane sokton dambarisha kangi sokton damba marisha kangi shi tuni jijin barisha kashi tuni jijin maim barisha se dekolaya ani ko samlu de tangu yores means nambala de ani nyamdu shijong pitsanchi chagores.
Can you go to the next?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, then the third stage should be a very, this explain stage is very tempting for the teacher to think that the teacher has all the control in explaining, but really we should start by giving the students opportunity to explain what they know and based on their prior knowledge before teachers share their explanations.
That deshe said the Nathan the last time, but I still game and a gala tama, but the tambo crususum on in deshe jani to a gitch, Natante, Mosito Bugona Yongres, Imbana Mone, Giganchi to go at the conduct in the Yagores, and a tambo, a hope to Mola Kotsuge, that Tapsikari Chonjut, deshe chichi, or a hope to and deshe jagi at the hope to Susu, Nerogi Shishela and the date, and deshe jagi at the kitchen chagores, that take it jela, Niki game when in Pala and deshe chiachi by Nayawres.
This strategy empowers the student because the student is able to share what knowledge they bring to the class. This knowledge may be reinforced by the teacher, but it also may be contradictory to what the teacher is about to present. But it is essential that the student is able to first provide their explanation so that they can be actively evaluating whether it's the same or if it's different than what the teacher is presenting.
Then dim by na ko so tula ya kuma tangai chani de ko panundo masuna ke chambuchi chagores chi by na ta di caps so tkin deshe jams nambala chine ane khorange ngoroge sheshati chitana ta ya do chita chine ya ngoroge sheshati ta jenge chaegi netanti ngorwa ki gen deshe jams nambala ya kanda manda di caps by na so tu su su ngone 지금 당폭 너르게 시샤티 간다로 지금 바테 데시장스 담발아야 아니 티 치트네 타야타 야마나 테탄 잠게 무라 두바이나 야 티군 지와탕 데탄 기겐기타 제라야 기겐 데시장스 담발아야 틸라틴 데테
So in this example, I'm sharing this because this may be relevant to you. My colleague and I discovered that the monastics made a distinction between living being and living thing, because for them, they were distinguishing what is a sentient being and what is non-sentient. But we would not have known that if we did not first allow our students to explain their prior knowledge.
Tanda di deshe jagwa jinsen karin sena di kapsin baina netan di deshe jabala tende tanda ngasuge tis korwa living thing tang living beings korwa tang ngasuge sokden tang ta jiden sena de ko sokden gi ngubo tang ta sokden gi chi ta sokden gi semchen tang sokden gi ngubo sai korwa otigi korla ani ngoma ko zenda tripika sui bana tatsin chuge ayochi yongdu skachila baina ko chuge ngero ge shisha baina ana nga chuge ta samden main bas gore sensation being and non sensation being samden main ba ge yatin je stambalaya ani ko dela shisha de ta nga chu sokdem ge ta semchen tang sokdem ge ngubo se ti ge yate jiyongdu stin stambalaya ekete ani nga chu ngone tatsin chola ya ko chuge ngero ge shisha le shisha be ge tatsutin reshu jegi chik meba imbaina ane dinado ge yuan jegi chik yoba jeju yoba dan dinado chik tablan yoba de matsunguni imbaina haku mares.
And it may be tempting for the instructor to assume that they know what the prior knowledge of the student is, but it is essential that we still give the student the opportunity to provide their own explanations first, because you never know. Maybe their explanation is something we don't expect.
Ani kusula ji kusugi ngero shishela shishapi tatsu tong samsung kari yote deshe jaga chigbu gures.
Okay. So the fourth stage is elaborate. And this is where the teacher is assigning a task that allows the students to integrate the new knowledge with the prior knowledge. And this may happen in the class, during the class time, or it may happen as outside of the class as homework.
Then the jishe said the caps karchigores and a gigangi and it hope to chulaya ko nangli nagre jegut in the trade and a koge tandagi shisha sarba chijang yorwa teta and ngero gishisha parolayan drewataka chigorwa or tigi tapshitang cheted the putuchigres, the day by na Zendra caps shaja duchinant kore yamana. Ningasun zendra jela ya ko ta takshe khanta ani tinado ka jegu juchi dukchina dugores.
Okay, so here what they're doing, just so you know, because the next slide won't make sense. Here we were asking monastics to use a cotton swab and to touch different surfaces and to put it in this plate that has some nutrients to see what type of organisms might grow.
Tanda dikapse karchigores kusula ya tanda timbegi chidoga timbegi titi pechu deta ane dramendra ngola ya tugachi ragachi and jela ya tanda ge dharma chinchin chidoga dinala ya sichun yuchu ge dharma tanda res ane tigala ya ko sha ko tanda ge timbechi gorwa tigi tuju titi ga sha deta ne tuju ti la tende dete tanda de nala ya ani jingu kana ro chi chesare se tela ya tashi chi chikures.
Okay, so here you can see that this is 4 photographs of a swab, a cotton swab that was used to touch this dog. The dog, his name was Pizza. And you can see how many different types of bacteria were growing on his fur.
That take a lesson and also all I appreciate or appreciate, but 아니 temperature 단다게 키디지도 키디 밀은 피자를 더 키디 피자게 강라에 피자세 때 강라야 아니 temperature 시시체 아니 단다 더마디 강라 샤데테 아니 고 다시치 주레스타 난두스타 바이바이나 아니 가수게 퍼데 탈라타 바이나 아니 키디게 부 강라야 아니 고 징미스고 와다 어디 같이 지게 옆에 가서들 통고도 왔어.
Yes, so the class concluded that they need to give him a bath and also wash their hands after they touch dogs.
되게 제일야 진정 거네 가리 타서 지어래서나 아니 키데라야 아니 키디게 주부주 주고도세 대다 아니 키라 라바 청에 제일야 수수 라바 청마 주고도세 때 그수 타쳐나선스.
Okay. And finally, the last stage is evaluate. This is, there are two components of this. One is for the teacher to create the opportunity for students to evaluate their own learning, to be aware of what they know and what they don't know. This is called metacognition. And also for this teacher to assess the students.
단단 천재세디 하진게 전부 자기요레스로 천재세디 값을 조대다 롭트 같이 지시 마시세디게 네탄티 천재디와 때라야가 속에 네탄니시오레스 이와 마스나 덴체마스나 이와 니스라 이그레스 담보데 metacognitions 나 랑시스고 랑시 티 값을 가르치고레스는 기갱오네 롭트라야 소소수수문에 같이 지신도 소소수수문에 같이 지신게면도세게 천재해 주거와 되게 고급진 주라 어때 니코게 수수수 같이 심하시티 수수문이 체제기 지역이 고급진 되는 덤비치체 니바들라야 기경기 문에 팔아야 이 디너로치 트리에다 트리스 담발아야 소중문에 같이 지신도세 때 체제해 주거와 니스tam발라 콜라야 임고 득참아서나 만로니요레스.
Okay, Tenzin, how should we do this? I don't think we have a lot of time for this breakout, but we can ask people to just on their own, just think about one area that they might be writing a lesson plan and they can keep discussing over their tea break.
Yeah, we have 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think just asking people to think about this, I think the next slide is actually might be. we can
Maybe
show that
at this,
first.
I mean, if we didn't have enough time, maybe do you want to ask if they have any questions so far? Because we walked
Yeah.
through a lot.
We did go through a lot, and I feel that maybe if we can even just show the next slide and stop and then ask them at their tea break to think about, yeah. Here, I think this is important because this is the question that we can pose to you, is that through the instructional strategies and through the content in the curriculum, you know, the teacher can create an inquiry mindset where the student is asking questions and wanting to learn. So I want to, we want you to think about what this diagram is asking you to do.
그 당포디게 윤쇼타 때 바임바나 가서 로트리가 답지로 로트리가 답지 때다 아니 니모텔라야 합식이 선진로와 딱 답지 때다 아니 콘센트하게 딱 코트셔들와 때니차게 바로 때니차 냠도 데발라 때니데티 아니 가서라야 네 드세게 삼루차 수치 페트크레 페트크 마레세게 지네탄 친구도가 니스탄발라야 단다게 비르시데라 시샤바이나 디 비르시데가 가서다 가리친데 시작도스.
So I think in this last 10 minutes, Tenzin and I would like to allow you to think about all the information we just presented about the 5E learning plan, as well as this diagram about how the teacher can promote the inquiry mindset. So if you have questions, please talk to your table and then we can answer these questions.
단단한 수고 섬신디 값 만보 중고트지 스페셜하나 아니 이가 댕기 섬신기 고창고치다 지고로 대당 아니 단다게 기경기 모네 바이널 홉트라야 조안 지역이 지가 삼루가 철수 지고라 디간다 스페고 요레세 네탄테나 마포치 모트치 요레스라 딘스tambalaya chechugan data shisha data ani chechu rosigan ropatnyamte ani kijishena tidu kijishenu jila draw yo paina ani tangna nga sugi lenjagins.
I needed to spend time on the 5 E's. I hope that was okay, Tenzin.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. And actually, this is good because the session 2 is continuing with lesson plans.
And I was talking to Pasang. He said they have a couple of questions. They have a lot of discussion yesterday about the misconceptions. And they
Okay.
have also some questions with regard to misconceptions and alternate conceptions.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know whether we have time now, but we can maybe in the next session, if we have some time, we can
Yeah.
address those.
That's good. They seem so actively engaged.
지금 땅나나 수에는 되게 돌아.
So, 지워당니 그게 디는
Angadu that draw tashum that.
Hello. Hello.
그 지워직도
Good morning and good evening to our friends over here. And thank you for teaching about the inquiry learning plan. I'm really curious about implementing this 5 E's in the class. Usually when, suppose like I usually teach in a debunk listening, and sometimes trying to implement these 5 E's in the class seems like there could be like one method which could include all E's together, like one method could have all the E's together. So is it necessary to have like a separate engage activity and explore activity and all this in the separate ways, or is it also okay, or like is it also fine to have one strategy which could include engage and sometimes elaborate together?
Yes, that's a great question. The main point of the 5 E's is to remind the instructor of the different components. As when you are first starting teaching, sometimes we want to teach the way we were taught. And if we were taught as passive learners, it's very easy to end up teaching by lecturing. So in the beginning, we encourage people to think about each of the 5 E's until it becomes intuitive.
다 단다 저한테 때려셔 단다 단다 이가 댕기 비슷한 레시션 스타발라야 가수기 이가 댕디 아니 두스 리리리 데시장 두스 나이 바이나 디폰로스닌라야 진데티기 예스 인스타반 진데티비 값스 리리리 두스 제바데 아니 산삼마 가보드네 우리 산삼말라야 고 냠트 로 아니스 타피차샤나 가수 소십당 지시당 데시주어와 Tinado Nyamti Yuegi, Yanku Chibu Tinado Yadauchidu, Stinsambalaya, Ani Tinado Ko Chibu Chikanalaya, Kugita, Panrama Sona, Kashi on Jutinagona Degrees. At this time, but take a lente, Tinda and Dikiores, that in the Chilkin Banat and the Delaya Mutuchi, Decades and Ansugi, Ing a den in Stabala Homsin Chibi Caps, Tela, Tupchakari, Yuna Yago Mesete, Mutuchi, Stinsambalaya. Data Matsugi Jula Hero Partoro, Ningasugi Tiko, Rere Mutuchi, Picha Shapa Mana, and the Samsung Azul Homson Tree on Stambalaya, Homson TV Caps, Tampong Atsui Jambi Caps and Asula Homson Candas, Tisha said, then Atsula Shi Shagruang, Aso Paso Shichambu, Ratin Stambalaya, and a Katie Muma Choranlaya, and a co Nyamji Jung Muchi Mepi Gane, Gigangi Marashe, Susu Nyenchi, Jan Nathan Chichayo by Bina. Ane te susugun zendana yang ko lakter chiage shuti chichayo ro ranjing chane tin stambalaya ane tandang de chu panrum re tanyade ane tinda le ta trewa ro susugu kada sha ta nyamji shiji maim bai ge chiki she susugu nyenchi jangyo wa ge netan tilan jirwa ta tele treya ane susun zendana ne yang ko nyamji shi jong ge chi shi yong ge ta sobjong chiage rumba mambo chigora de ta lakter chiage chetu Ani dus motochigi restatin stambati julal heropart ani ti karsata til heg chete ngasugata dige pangum re dus motochigi tnes.
That was a long explanation. Imagine that when you first get a recipe, the first time you see a recipe, you make it just like the recipe says. At the second time you make the more times you make that dish, you start making it your own. So initially, we encourage you to follow the 5 E's. Then you will be able to start being more creative and mixing the 5 E's together.
Take a lana to Samachizu and Angeles, get the Sama Sabachizuana, Tampo, Seto, Nalaya, Kukari, Kudu, Nanshin Dogo, or what they Pandan Nanshin Dogora, Nay, Yang Chechizo, Mutchi, Tama Mampuchizovana, take it, and Yamno to Latin, Tomatilas, so Kandado Chizo, Panajan, Zushano, Kotabu Chandora, Tin Nanshinge, any Tampo de la Chechulata, ing a dingy Kupandum, Rere Kandado Chindo, Rere Laya. Aniko ta nyamlena shayache ko peshutache and take jelaya aniko ta nyamno chthop imbana ko tite tang peshutu stayo res.
Should we answer let one more question and then take a break?
I think good time to take a break now.
Maybe now I think this is a good time because we're just at the time. So if anybody has any questions, they should write the question down and just keep it so that we can answer in the next session.
That joy by Narwa, to this ni chirochi is as it's what Jimaka say, to a land and jag